My wife left me and went 2,000 miles away, and I attracted her back with the tools and the techniques that I teach in my program, and you can do the same thing. As I went through that, I made notes of what worked, and I stuck with it. And I had plenty of notes of what didn't work from my first marriage, and plenty of notes what almost didn't work from my second marriage, and how did I pivot, and I teach you how to do that. You just got to be coachable. I want you to make sure and subscribe to the channel, press the like button and that bell button so you're notified as these new videos come up. In a situation like this where you're facing separation or divorce, it's not about all of the things that you're doing right or that you're going to do right now or that you're going to do right in the future. If you have a spouse that's obstinate, they're on the fence about the marriage, maybe they're completely out. Maybe they're saying, I'm no longer in love with you, I still love you, but I'm not in love with you. Maybe they are in another relationship where they're seeing someone else, they have a limerence for somebody else. There's a lot of different things that you can do, and you need to really immerse yourself in these things as a new way of being, because for your spouse or your long-term relationship lover that you've lost and you're diligently trying to get them back, I figured out how to get out of that situation in a way that brought lasting change, in a way that would be something that you can immerse yourself in, because to her, it's not about all of the things that you're doing right. It's always about the one thing that you do wrong. And that requires that you become a new person in your mind, a new way of thinking, a new way of being, because once you start thinking differently, you won't make those mistakes. The clock is in your favor only if you change and you take actions, and you do that with a proven step-by-step system that's actually going to bring some results. Things might be going your way, but you mess up one time, one little thing, and it's going to not just put you back to square zero, it's going to give her confirmation of the bias that she had against you. It'll all flood back and it's amplified, and the divorce is back on like Donkey Kong, as I like to say. I want you to be immersed in this. If you're somebody that needs immediate results, visit me on my website at denvergriffin.com. I have an opportunity to watch a free masterclass, which is another resource that you can utilize. And also at the end of that masterclass and on my website, I give you an opportunity to apply to work with me so we can bring about lasting change and faster results quickly. denvergriffin.com. So let's move into this. The first thing that you need to do to start the process of attracting your wife or your long-term relationship lover back is you need to start evoking masculine energy. What is exactly is masculine energy? It's probably not what you're thinking. The first step in giving off your masculine energy and walking in your masculine energy is start owning your own weaknesses. A lot of times we as men, we think that my long-term relationship lover, my wife is left me, and I want to start doing all these things that come across as needy, and that's you walking in the feminine, and that's you pushing her further away. And if what you had been doing in the past, which is the opposite of the things that I teach in my course and on this YouTube channel, if those things were bringing lasting results for you, you probably wouldn't be watching this. And for those of you that are just starting this journey, I'm telling you the clock is ticking. You need to make action fast on a new way of being and a new way of thinking so that this brings about lasting change in your life, so that not only do you attract your spouse or your lover back, you're able to keep her when she comes back. In my first marriage that ultimately failed, I successfully attracted her back. But it wasn't a new way of being and it wasn't a new way of thinking, and ultimately the marriage ended because, again, it's not about all of the things that you do right. For her, it's the one or the two things that you do wrong. So when you change, it has to be an actual, genuine, and real change. Now in the beginning, there's a little fake it till you make it. And other programs say, oh, this is not fake it till you make it. Listen, if you're implementing a new way of being for the first 2 or 3 days, it is fake. It's not possible that it's real. But it becomes real, and that's the goal, is that it should become real. So what do I mean by own your own weaknesses? You need to start being comfortable with your own wins and your own losses. Anytime you mess up in an area of your life, don't justify it, don't hide it. You know, let's say that you're talking about something with your buddies and maybe you really flubbed up something, even though they see something that makes it look like you had a great success. You need to own that. And one of the things that I do in my program is it's a community of like-minded men where every man that's in the program, in the Divorce Stoppers program that I teach, that we're all there as a support structure. In addition to the 35 daily modules that I do 35 times over the course of 7 weeks that you can go through multiple times if you choose to do that, You also have the community on our Facebook group or our Kajabi group, depending on whatever we're doing for your particular group of guys, depending on when you enroll. And you also have the advantage of scheduling unlimited calls with me, and you have the ability to listen in on the phone calls where other men schedule one-on-one calls with me, because maybe if you have a one-on-one call with me and the thing that you had meant to ask me on your phone call, you forget to ask it, you have an opportunity later, maybe even the same day, to hear that question answered because another man has the same question. That way you don't have to wait until week 2 or week 3 or week 4 in the program, because our goal is to bring about speed. There's other programs out there that talk about climbing the mountain where you have to go, it's so hard work and you have to go up it and step by step. And sometimes that can take 6 months, a year, 2 years or whatever. If she has limerence, that can take 2 to 3 years. And guess what? I understand what it's like to be in a relationship that was 25 years and now in my current relationship over 10 years. And whenever you're in a situation where you have assets and you have businesses and you have children and you have grandchildren together and maybe you've accumulated those type of things, it's not in the best interest of the relationship for it to take 2 years and 3 years. And in my program, I teach how to get faster results than waiting, especially if she has limerence and she's in love with somebody else or maybe living with them. So own your own weaknesses, be comfortable with your losses. In my program, I talk about something called SPICE, how you can become more spiritually, physically, intellectually, character, and emotionally attractive. When you own your own weaknesses, this increases in your spiritual, your intellectual, and your emotional attractiveness. In the program, I cover this in many modules in depth, how to take this to the next level, but this should be something that's beneficial to you. Step number 2 of the 4 steps I'm going to cover here on this is stop shaming yourself and stop defending yourself. Shaming and defending often go hand in hand. So let go of fear. I'm going to give you an example. There's a new trend that's emerged in Western civilization, and it's been around since the beginning of time, but it's called cuckolding. And what that is, that's where you're in a relationship, where you're with your wife or your lover, and she starts messing around with other men, and she does that openly, and you're aware of that. And if you're in a situation right now where she's moved out and she has limerence for somebody else, I don't want you to do what your friends would tell you, especially if you have kids with her. You can re-attract her back, and it doesn't mean that you're a cuckold, and even if you have got into that lifestyle, there's a way out of that, because the reason that you got into that to begin with is because you had a fear, and you may not even be aware that you have the fear, but you have a fear of, if you are highly, highly, highly successful, you have a fear of a potential of failure, or maybe you have a fear that you're embarrassed or you feel shame around that you haven't made it there, so you don't feel worthy yet. And your safety mechanism that you either consciously or subconsciously deal with that fear is that you actually put yourself in the submissive role, in the lesser than role. That way you can say, I'm going to hit the pain head on and I'm dealing with it. Or maybe you're not that extreme, but you're walking in condemnation and you're like, I don't deserve her back. I cheated on her. I wasn't a good husband. And I saw a post on Instagram that said, if you love her, let her go. Well, listen, friends, if you let her go, if you divorce her or you let her divorce you, which she can do that if she wants to, but if you can re-attract her back, that'll stop the divorce. And that's what my heart burns to do. I went through that, and my heart longs to help you reignite your family. Because if the relationship ends, you're dealing a legacy of relationships ending to children that are watching this, to nieces, to nephews, to grandchildren. Basically, anybody that sees your life from the outside looking in, you're dealing of continued failure to those people, especially if it's family members. If you're in a shame cycle, stop shaming yourself. So what do I mean by shame cycle? Maybe you have a porn addiction. By the way, this goes back to fear. Why are you addicted to fear? Why are you addicted to porn? Porn is a fear addiction. If you're addicted to porn, that comes from, I had a porn addiction. Where does that come from? That comes from a fear of some past damage or trauma in your childhood, and you're going to porn as an outlet to deal with that fear because you fear rejection because of something that happened in your childhood. So my question is, let's say if you've got into the cuckolding, or maybe you're looking at pornography and maybe you haven't actually got into those kind of things, but maybe you shame yourself. I want you to think about something. Think about when you look at porn or you look at cuck porn, and I want you to really think about the thing that turns you on the most. So what video have you kept returning to? Or if you're not into porn, maybe you shame yourself. I want you to think about When you shame yourself, when you're in that moment of porn, when you're at your highest ecstasy with porn, or you're at your deepest low with shaming yourself, which shame brings endorphins, which makes us feel good, which is crazy, but it's true, okay? How do you deal with some of that? I address all of this in my program, but in short, for this particular video, I want you to think about when you're getting the most pleasure from shaming yourself, what are you thinking about in that moment? When you're at your highest stimulating moment, what are you actually thinking about in that moment? So you've got to pause and you've got to stop. What I'm talking about is not sexual. You have turned it into sexual pleasure. You have turned the shame into a form of depression, and you're now addicted to the shame. You're addicted to the depression, which is pleasureful to you. You find solitude in that depression. You find solitude in that sexual energy because you've dealt with the pain sexually. And so you're like, what used to hurt me, what has the potential to hurt me in the future, I have turned that into a sexual stimulus and I now control that. So how do you let that go? You let that go by figuring out, what am I actually thinking when I'm getting off on this depression, this shame, or this porn, or this cuckolding? What is the thought that I'm having right now at my highest pleasure in what I'm doing to deal with the pain? Okay, does that make sense? Once you identify what the non-sexual thought is behind that, now you can start the process of stop shaming yourself, and you give your creator an opportunity to come in, because now you're in the admission stage of letting go of stories, and now you can start the process of healing. And when you start the process of healing, you're really going to calm down, and you're going to become a really, really nice man with different priorities, because you're starting to see yourself and what's important to you. And now you're enabled to figure out, what do you really want for your life? And friends, I'm here to tell you, all of you men listening to this, a man that evolves into a happy man, that's not triggered, that doesn't blow up, that's truly happy, that understands what his calling is, his life purpose, his mission. No woman on planet Earth has ever left a man like that. You can become this man. But the first step is figuring out, what is the issue? Now you can get with your creator to help you heal from the issue. And as you do that, you'll figure out, what is your life's mission? You might be a highly successful entrepreneur that's making millions of dollars like me. I was there, I was having 6-figure months, but I wasn't walking in my calling. Now, that was my calling, but the calling for this season of my life is right here where I'm at in front of you. And I didn't understand that. And even when I started doing this for a while, I was frustrated, I was stressed, I was on Xanax, I was having to do all these different things to deal with anxiety, and I could not figure out what is going on with me. Why am I so successful? Why are the Beamers and the Jaguars in the driveway with the big freaking multiple homes? And I still didn't have peace, I didn't have contentment. And it was because the person that I used to be, that achieved the goals that I had set for my life, that man was no longer working for where I was headed. My creator called me for a bigger purpose, for a higher calling, and for even more wealth in my finances. I stopped thinking about millionaire status and went to billionaire status. And I did these things while I was in a separation. And guess what? When I got my calling down and became happy and peaceful and content, because now I'm a man on a mission, even though I'm basically starting over from scratch, that attracted my wife back. Because a man that knows his life purpose, and a man that's happy, and a man that is more focused on his mission than he is his woman, is the very thing that will bring the woman back. Right now you're focused on, how do I get her back? What do I need to do to work on this marriage? What do I need to do to work on this relationship? Because other people on YouTube are telling you, you got to climb this mountain. That's not the problem. You're already on top of the mountain, but everybody's looking up at this big jerk that nobody wants to be with. And you're being told, this is hard work. Listen, friends, I am telling you, I have busted my ass since I was like 10 years old. I got my first public job as a cook at the Sonic Drive-In as a cook at 12 years old. I busted my ass my whole life because I thought that's what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to hustle, and anything worth having is going to be hard work. You know what? It was. Why was it? Because that's what I was told. And because I believe that, so as a man thinketh is he. Guess what I think now? The stuff that's important to me, it is not hard. It is not common sense. It is the opposite of how I feel I should act. The things that I say out of my mouth used to be the opposite of what I felt I should be saying. And it is not hard work. The decision that you make in the next 10 seconds could very well determine the way the rest of your entire life turns out. Stop the video, register for a free seat for my free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass that I'm teaching live this week 5 times, and I'm going to be doing that for the next 3 months. If you need more help after the live masterclass, we're going to text you a link with a link to book a call with us, where we'll give you a free strategy session call either with me or somebody that's an expert on my team, because seeing is believing. Let me show you. Click the link in the registration below. Click the link in the registration below, because this might be your last chance ever. This might be exactly what you've been praying and hoping for, but you've got to take action. Do something different. Take a leap of faith. I'm not asking for blind faith. Click the link below. Come into the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass and let us show you the first step of turning that train around that's heading to hell. What's not working in your relationship is working on the relationship. How many of the testimonials, go onto my channel and look at my testimonials, my client reviews. Every single one of those clients will tell you working on the relationship was not working. And every one of them will tell you, and I think they all probably mention it in the reviews, that this was the easiest thing they ever did, but it was the opposite of their very DNA. Because as men, when there's something that we want, there's something that we want more than anything else, especially when she's walked out the door, now we really want her. Maybe we didn't feel the emotions like, oh my God, my heart's breaking, I want her so bad. Maybe you're the one that pushed her out. Maybe you said, I want her divorced, and she listened and she left. That's what happened in my second marriage. And I'm like, hell with this. I am not going to lose another wife, because I love her and she loves me. But even though she said, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, I thought, you know what? Women are like cats. They want to go off, and they want to know it's safe to go off without you bitching at them. And they want to know that the stable man, the masculine man, is there waiting on them when they get back. But you start putting pressure on a woman, that's you walking in the feminine, right? And this is not hard. It's so easy. We're not walking up the mountain. We're not hiking up the mountain, okay? You're already on the mountain now. And your problem is that you're trying to get her to work on the relationship. And so she sees this jerk up there on the mountain, and he's throwing a lassie down, trying to rope her, right? What's that show where they advertise in Wyoming with Kevin Costner? Don't watch that. It'll ruin your life because you'll be addicted to it. But you're trying to rope her like a heifer and pull her back up. Well, even if you get her pulled back up and you get her in her arms, if you don't change, as soon as you let go of the grip, she's going to run back down to the river where the cool water is. What she needs from you is for you to change, and that will attract her back. How do you change? You do the things that I'm telling you. In my program, I call this easily just walking down the mountain. She's still looking up at you, but she sees you start coming her way because you stop shaming yourself. You heal. You don't have a need for pornography anymore because you're on a life mission. You're not Googling cuckolding porn anymore. You're not walking in a shame cycle where you shut down and get into bed for 3 days in depression. For those of you that are entrepreneurs, which majority of men that I track, you can work from home and you stay in bed. Okay? So spice. If you stop shaming yourself, this increases your emotional and your spiritual maturity. Step number 3, look the part. Look the part. This will require that you change your looks. So maybe you already have a 6-pack and you think you got it going on. You want to attract her back, create curiosity, and you can do that with your looks. If you have long, flocky hair, shave your hair. Now, I consult with the cosmetologist before they cut your hair to make sure you have a beautiful shaped head like I do. If you don't, maybe don't do that, okay? But maybe you have gray chest hair. Maybe you have gray hair. Go wash that gray right out of your hair. Do some things. Get in the gym. Maybe you have diabetes and you're holding on to a story that I can't do that. Okay, maybe that's true. Maybe you don't have legs and you say I can't get on the treadmill. Okay, just because you don't have legs, why can't you get in your wheelchair and do push-ups? There's a lot of people that don't have legs, but they have bigger arms than me, okay? Maybe you don't have nice arms like this, okay? I'm happy and I'm saying that. I'm going to be a braggadocious about that. There's nothing wrong with being proud of what you're working on. Hard work, there's nothing wrong with that. This took hard work to get this bulge back, okay? So why am I saying, it doesn't take hard work? Relationship hard work is what's hardly ever working. Hard work is not ever going to work in the relationship. It's very easy to attract your spouse back. It's very easy to attract your lover back. But it is completely the opposite. Everything that you're supposed to do, and if you don't do this, you're going to get a divorce or it's going to end forever, okay? If she has limerence and she's looking at somebody, you're going to push her away if you don't change everything about the things that you've been doing. I have another video talking about the 10 things that you're probably addicted to doing right now that's for sure going to end the relationship. Find that on my YouTube channel. Change your looks by looking the part. Who do you want to be for this season of your life? Who do you get to be? I am a kind, calm, connected man. That's me. A lot of people that know me in my past would never say I'm a kind, calm, connected man. But that is who I get to be for this season of my life to accomplish the goals of the things that are important to me. I stand for legacy and connection. Legacy and connection. Now, you can ask people that worked for me 2 years ago in an insurance business that I ran. They loved me, but they would not call me a kind, calm, connected man. I pushed them to the point that like sometimes they would break. They couldn't take it because I was so aggressive because I loved them so much. This season in my life, I can't push that way. Now, luckily, I still have a little of that in me because I'm going to push you to success and I'm going to kick your ass until you get there. And I've created a community of other men that will help me do that. Because if you're in the Divorce Stoppers program that I teach, you can't say this program doesn't work because you see everybody in our community and it's working for all of us. All the other men, you're seeing the wins. And how is that advantageous to you to see what's not working for you is working for everybody else? Because one of the problems that you have right now is you have all these BS stories that you're holding on to, and we help you let go of it. You can't say the program doesn't work because it's working for everybody else. And so you're never going to come to me and say, Denver, I want a refund, which I don't give, okay? You can't ever come to me and say, Denver, I want a refund because this isn't working, because you know better. You see it working for everybody else. So your subconscious says, I got to let go of these stories. I got to let go of this BS because it's working for everybody else. So it must be me. And once that goes back to step 2, so you're shaming yourself, letting go of the fear, letting your guard down and being vulnerable to see that it's okay if there's areas of your life that are effed up that need change. Because this is not only going to attract her back, this is going to give you a life like you never imagined, okay? You have to create curiosity. So when we're talking about physical attractiveness, looking the part, maybe you look like a man on GQ and you got it going on. Change something, though, about your looks, because the goal is to create curiosity. You know the saying, curiosity killed the cat? It's because if the cat is curious, she's going to be thinking about you. Right now, your problem is she's not thinking about you. We want her thinking about you, but we don't want her thinking about you because you're pushing her and you're doing the same BS that you've been doing that's pushing her further away. We want you to back off and focus on becoming the man you're supposed to be and we want you on the mission that you're supposed to be on, that you're probably not, and leave her alone. And that will naturally attract her back because this is masculine energy. This is masculine energy. Step number 4, prioritize your life, your calling, your life's person, your mission. So this is what we just talked about. The first step in doing this is to stop being mad at the world. Stop watching CNN. Stop watching Fox News. Stop watching the media. Stop going on social media and blasting your crazy opinion that everybody else is wrong, that you all of the stuff that you're passionately right about. You want her to be curious about you? Stop being right about everything. Stop being mad. You heard me say earlier, no woman on earth has ever divorced a happy man. Prioritize your life purpose, and your calling. If you are looking forward to your future, to your mission, to your purpose, you will stop looking at the negative BS about her. And so listen to me. One of the reasons that I do an enrollment call whenever I bring on a new client into the program is because if you're not a coachable man, then I'm not going to let you in. If you're so full of yourself and telling me that it's all her fault, she's the reason that we're separated, you know what? Maybe it is. But I can tell you that the reason that she is the way she is, you played a big freaking part in that. And there is something that you can change. And if you don't believe me and you don't like it or whatever, I don't care if you don't believe me. Everything that's her fault, you can actually change her, but you're going about it the wrong way. You can actually change her, but you're going about it the wrong way. You're criticizing her, telling her what she needs to change, and you're trying to work on the marriage. You need to work on you. Stop working on the marriage and stop giving anybody else advice unless they point blank ask for it. And if she does happen to ask you for some advice, which is probably not going to be a problem, keep it light. When she fell in love with you, were you working on the marriage? Were you being a critical jerk? Were you trying to get her to go to counselors? Which, by the way, I don't even know. I can't say enough bad stuff about the majority of counselors, because count how many marriage coaches are on YouTube and on Google right now that have transitioned from marriage counselors to marriage coaches, because counseling wants to focus on the problem, not forward-facing into the solution. We'll address the problem so we can figure out what we're dealing with, but we move to the solution, and we move fast. I'm not trying to attract your wife back or your lover in 24 to 36 months. Now, if you're somebody that's willing to wait 24 to 36 months, there's another program out there. They talk about let's go. By all means, go. There's a 70% success rate. They tout that all the time. If your marriage, in a second marriage, your success rate is only, I don't even know. But if a marriage has a 50% chance of making it anyway, I'm not going to put down a lot of money for somebody that's got increasing my odds by just 20%, unless there's no other alternative, okay? So who else out there is doing this? Is anybody else out there doing this like me that tried all these things and almost saved a long-term marriage of 2.5 decades? But ultimately, it wasn't about all the stuff I was doing right, which actually it was about a few things that I did wrong because I didn't have a new way of being, and she triggered me and I blew up and bam, back in divorce court, okay? And then I did the same thing in a second marriage, and I'm like, my wife and I were doing marriage coaching. And then I got diagnosed with stage 4 throat cancer, and fast forward past that crap of having a couple of years with no marriage, we had resentment that built up from that, from no relationship, no sex, bad attitude, bad mood with medications and stuff. And it built resentment over a couple of years. You know what? That was a story I was telling myself. It was all her fault. Didn't she know I was sick? I had stage 4 throat cancer. I was on my deathbed. All of that BS was true, but it was a story that I was holding on to, and all that was doing was leading me to divorce. My wife left me and went 2,000 miles away, and I attracted her back with the tools and the techniques that I teach in my program, and you can do the same thing. As I went through that, I made notes of what worked, and I stuck with it. And I had plenty of notes of what didn't work from my first marriage, and plenty of notes what almost didn't work from my second marriage, and how did I pivot, and I teach you how to do that. So stop being mad, stop proving your political point. No need to tell your story to everybody. If this is all her fault, that's okay. But guess what? If it is to be, you want your relationship back, you want your marriage. Did you know, for those of you that have kids, the suicide rate is going to go up for that child. The divorce rate is going to go up for that child. The divorce rate is going to go up for you. The suicide rate is going to go up for you and for the woman that you love. So this stuff about if you love her, let her go. If you really love somebody, would you push those statistics on? Or would you listen to somebody that knows what the hell they're talking about and that will do anything to help you achieve the goal of restoring this relationship, because there is literally life and death on the line here. I am passionate about that, and I will not give up on any single man that doesn't give up on themselves. And if you're in the program, I'm not going to let you give up on yourself, and neither will any of the men that are in the program and our support groups. So figure out your calling, go get it. Who are you? Turn off the news, turn off the negative, and be happy, okay? So I want you to do me a favor before I go any further. If you haven't already done this, because I've said it 2 or 3 times in this video, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button so the algorithm knows to reach more men that are in the same boat that you're in. Do that for me and do that for you. But also, I want you to go to denvergriffin.com, look at my masterclass on there, and if you really do need to save the marriage, apply to work with me and we'll talk to you on that.